Steps to be followed in micro-teaching. Hello student teachers, the future pillars of this educational system. Today, we will be discussing about the steps involved in micro-teaching cycle. At the end of this session, you will be able to develop specific teaching skills like questioning, explaining, and providing feedback. Encourage to identify strengths and areas for improvement in teaching. Increase the ability to accept and use progressive feedback for professional growth. Learn to adopt teaching methods which includes diverse learners and contexts. Promote teamwork through peer observation and discussion. These are the learning outcomes, but before that, we should know what is meant by micro-teaching. Micro-teaching is a process of teaching where the teacher-trainee breaks down the complete teaching process into smaller units. Through micro-teaching, the teacher-trainee develops a lot of skills as well as confidence among themselves so that he or she can get a better understanding about the teaching concepts to the students in a classroom atmosphere. If a teacher trainee is asked to teach a particular lesson, it will be challenging and difficult to him or her to deliver the whole concept in a single stretch, and even he or she may feel demotivated as he or she is new to the teaching field. Therefore, micro-teaching concept was introduced wherein the young teacher trainee is introduced to a scaled down teaching where he or she can break the unit into smaller parts so that they can concentrate more on a particular skill which has to be developed by every teacher during their learning period. Let us look at the steps in micro-teaching. The steps in micro-teaching involves plan, teach, feedback, replan, reteach, and re-feedback. Now let us discuss the steps one by one. Let me ask you all a question. Assume that you are going to a trip for the vacation. What will be the first thing you do? Yes, exactly. You will plan the activities, when to go, where to go, how to go, etc. In the same way, teaching is also a process which needs to be planned properly. So the first step is to plan. Here, you have to plan what you are going to teach. That is the subject which has to be taught. Then the topic needs to be decided. Say for example, if something in English or in math or science, then the topic which has to be taught need to be decided. If it is English, whether you are going to teach prose or poetry or grammar. Let us see an example. If you are going to teach daffodils, which is a poem, you should sit down and think from the child's point of view. That is, you should pretend to be a child yourself, so that you can plan what are all the activities to be given to the children in the classroom and what type of questions need to be asked for that poem. Then you should plan the content related pictures which needs to be shown to the children for better understanding. Then you should write down the key points which comes to your mind about the concept so that you can teach the concept in a fruitful way, as you should deliver the concept in a specified time which could be understood by all the students. So, in the planning process, you should work systematically and design the process from the moment you enter the class, like how you are going to greet your children, whether it is "Good morning, children, God bless you," or "Good morning, little ones." You, as a teacher trainee, have the full freedom to plan your own tasks, which gives motivation and attraction to the students towards the classroom activity. And of course, you have to prepare teaching aids or the teaching learning materials, which leads us to the second step, that is teaching. This has to be done for 6 minutes, whereas 6 minutes is just a recommendation because you, being a teacher trainee, is a beginner, and if given a lot of time for teaching, it may give embarrassment or fear whether we are going in the right track or not. Hence, 6 minutes is quite sufficient for you to develop the skill of teaching. You will teach a group of children, say 5 or 6 children, and tell them about the concept. But here, the target audience, that is the students, will be just the peer group or friends of the teacher trainee herself, and there will be one teacher, that is the professor or the teacher educator, who will not engage in this activity but would be sitting behind and observing the complete session, which includes the reaction of the students as well as the reaction of the teacher trainee who is teaching. When 6 minutes of teaching is over, you will obtain a feedback from the teacher educator who was just engaged in observing, as well as he or she asks for the feedback from the peer group who were attending the class, and the teacher trainee is also asked to engage in self-reflection, like, did I teach well? Did I introduce the concept well? Did my students respond well? Was the session useful to them? Did I contribute something valuable to the society? This kind of introspection should happen in your mind. So, with all the feedbacks gained from the peer group, feedback from the teacher educator who is the observer, self-feedback from your side, the defects need to be diagnosed. Say for example, you might have been too fast, or you might have neglected a particular student's response, or you were not very audible, or you might have overlapped concepts. Very important thing at this stage is that there could be any kind of negative feedbacks or any kind of comments that has come. You should not take this as a personal note, but instead should choose to work on the valuable feedback. So, after obtaining the feedback, the next step would be to replan the lesson. For replan, they are recommending 12 minutes. It is up to you to extend few more minutes so that you can give a better understanding of the concepts to the students, rectifying all the mistakes and shortcomings from the feedbacks received. You should keep in mind that you are going to take the same lesson to the same target audience. So while replanning, you should ask various questions within yourself. That is, when I asked this question, the students were not excited. Should I change this question? Or when I did this activity, the students were not willing to participate. So should I change this? You have to work on your own thought process so that it helps you to replan the lesson. Then we are moving to the next concept and we call it as reteach, where you teach the same concept to the same set of audience and the same teacher educator is observing, and after that unit is over, again re-feedback is obtained by the peer group and the teacher educator who is the observer. Now in the whole process of micro teaching, this re-feedback is actually very important because they actually give you a guideline to make you understand where you stand in that particular teaching process. Here, let me ask you something. Suppose after you have completed reteaching and if you get the same feedback from the peers and the teacher educator as well, what does it mean or what will be your understanding towards this? Yes, if you are getting the same feedback in the re-feedback session, it means that the process is not successful. The negative feedbacks obtained here should be lesser. That is the sign of growth. It shows that you are progressing to be a good teacher. You should have a broad mindset to accept comments and develop a mindset to learn from your mistakes. So, as a teacher trainee, you should not develop any ego on that. Instead, choose to work by balancing the recommendations or the feedback given by the peer group and the teacher observer. Hence, this is the cycle of micro teaching, and this is helpful for teacher trainees and for teachers who have taken up teaching profession as their career. By following these steps of micro teaching, which is done to a smaller group, the teacher trainee gains confidence and determination to do justice to the teaching profession. At the same time, they can develop the knowledge of understanding the teaching skills. Hope you all have had a very good understanding towards the steps involved in micro teaching. Happy teaching. Thank you.